This has Rams fans fired up. New addition cornerback Jaylen Watson put out a statement on Twitter that had the NFL world up in arms and riled up his former team's fan base. We're going to get into all that and what it means for the Rams this season on today's episode of Rams Digest. Welcome back to another episode of Rams Digest. I'm your host, Joshua Finehirsh, and before we get into today's video, make sure to hit that like button right now so that Aaron Donald returns to the Rams and that the Rams go on a Super Bowl run in the 2026 season. And hit that subscribe button. We are just over, and I mean like one over, 200 away from our goal of 6K, 6,000 subscribers. Help us get there. Click that sub button right now. Click the notification bell as well. Click all so you get notified and never miss whenever we post our daily new Rams Digest video content pieces covering all things Rams. And make sure to send this video to a friend because it helps out the channel a lot. But now to today's story, where we will be talking about new addition this offseason. Star cornerback Jaylen Watson had some words to say about Matthew Stafford and compared him to Patrick Mahomes a little bit. And let's just say Chiefs fans did not take this well, as we're going to get to his tweet here right now. Not gonna lie, haven't played with a QB who throw that peel like 9. Crying face emoji, and that is from Jaylen Watson's Twitter at JaylenWatson12 if you want to give him a follow, and not an NGL, for all those who don't know, stands for not gonna lie. So, this definitely sparked a lot from Chiefs fans because obviously he played with a quarterback named Patrick Mahomes who was quite good, to say the least. Now, I know the last couple of seasons haven't really reflected that stats-wise personally, but he's still a very good quarterback. This kind of reminds me of when Tyreek Hill said no one throws a better spiral than Tua, which I thought had absolutely no merit at the time. And unlike this one, though, where I think this does actually have a little bit of merit, because Matthew Stafford is a great quarterback who does throw amazing passes, who has an amazing arm. And I do think he makes more throws just purely with his arm than what Patrick Mahomes can do just purely with his arm. Now, again, Mahomes makes the off-schedule throws like no one else besides Aaron Rodgers, those two with the off-schedule throws, but Matthew Stafford with a different skill set, just pure arm strength and talent, I do think has a better overall arm than Patrick Mahomes does. And Chiefs fans were on social media calling him corny, this, and that, responding with some gifs of Patrick Mahomes' great throws, which are great throws, saying, "Are you kidding me? What are you talking about?" And obviously, it sparked some fire in their fan base. Starting a new little rivalry. We traded for Trent McDuffie. We signed Jaylen Watson. The memes in the offseason calling us the LA Chiefs. That's definitely going to be there during their game. I believe it's in mid-November-ish for their game at SoFi Stadium. So this is going to be great. And obviously, when talking about Jaylen Watson, we got to go into what he's going to do this season for the Rams, and stat-wise what he did last year. And Jaylen Watson on the season played in 15 games, had 64 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 interceptions, 0 forced fumbles, 42 solo tackles, 22 assisted, 0 fumble recoveries, 12 sack yards, and 0 pick sixes, 6'2", 197, entering year 5 at age 27. So Jaylen Watson entering the prime of his career, freshly signed with the Rams, and he's going to be tasked with guarding a bunch of the more physical receivers that the Rams are going to be going up against this season. Mainly Mike Evans is going to be the main guy of focus there on the Niners. Marvin Harrison, despite how he hasn't really put it all together yet, physical profile, you need someone like Jaylen Watson to guard him. Michael Wilson as well, who torched the Rams in their 2 meetings with the Cardinals last year. So he is going to be needed, and he is going against in practice too for Jaylen Watson. Puka and Devontae, 2 great receivers that he didn't really have going in Kansas City because his best years were once Tyreek Hill was already off of the roster, and now that Travis Kelce's not really in his prime anymore, you don't really have a lot of elite receivers. Now, Xavier Worthy's got elite speed, but it's kind of about it. Rashee Rice dealing with some injuries and some off-the-field things that have kept him out of a lot of practices. So he hasn't really had the top receivers to go against when he was a Chief, so I do understand this comment that he made a little bit more because Stafford does have his top 2 receivers. Knock on wood, make sure that stays the same here on my wooden desk, but he's also going against better talent receiver-wise in practice, and we've seen a lot of great battles. Sean McVay is saying today that it's been great to see McDuffie, Puka, Watson, Devontae, all of them really go at it in practice because it's really just iron sharpening iron, and I think it's a combination of everything. And he did say this, Jaylen Watson on Twitter, there was a play that went viral on social media of Matthew Stafford throwing a great ball to Devontae for a touchdown. It was a great play, and I believe it was on Jaylen Watson as the primary defender, and Jaylen Watson, maybe he said it to cover himself because he kind of got burned a little bit. He didn't really get burned, it was more so of a great ball, but I think he may have said this to cover his tracks and to be complimentary. I don't actually think he meant to diss Patrick Mahomes or Kansas City in any way, but still, I just think it's a nice way to add fuel to the fire from a rivalry that started as a meme in the offseason that I think is going to be there when they play later on in the year. And obviously, the quarterback he complimented in Matthew Stafford, coming off of an MVP season last year, just stellar all around with what he was able to do on the field. And we don't really need to go over his stats too much, but just in case for whatever reason, if you forgot, it's time to go over these once again. And for Matthew Stafford on the season, played in all 17 games, 71.2 QBR, which ranked 13th, 4,707 passing yards, ranked first, 46 passing touchdowns, ranked first, 8 interceptions, in the top 10-ish, I guess, for interceptions, but again, 8's not the end of the world. 65% completion percentage is fine. 7.88 yards per attempt is 18th. That's the one thing this Rams offense, I think passing-wise, does need to work on, is spreading the field a bit better. 276.9 yards per game, ranked first. He had 1 rushing yard as well. Let's clap it up for that. Very important, that 1 rushing yard. 6'3", 214 pounds, entering year 18 at age 38. And coming off of the season he just had, I don't see a lot of regression here for Matthew Stafford this season. Now, do I think he'll throw for 4,700 yards again? Not necessarily, but I don't think he won't hit those numbers because of bad play. I think it'll just be that they want to lean on the run earlier on in the season than they did last year to preserve him for the playoffs. I definitely see Stafford throwing for around 4,200 yards, probably upper 30s touchdowns, probably similar amount of INTs, similar completion, hopefully some more yards per attempt as well. Yards per game may go down a little bit into that upper 250s range, but again, that's not really going to be regression because of bad play, just because of more offensive play calling changes rather than anything else. So that could happen, but I still sense that he's going to be throwing great passes all throughout this season, and the offense to hum like it should, because we did see the Chiefs' offense last year as well really take steps back overall. Again, lack of receiving core. Pacheco wasn't really cutting it as an RB1 for them, and now they obviously bring in Kenneth Walker, which is going to help out a lot in that running back room for them. So I think there's a ton of different reasons for why you can make the argument that Stafford does throw a better ball than Patrick Mahomes. I do think if you want one throw where it's not off schedule, I would take Stafford, but on an off schedule throw, I'm taking Mahomes, and I don't really think it's close in that regard. We do need to move on to what this does for the Chiefs side of things just a little bit, because for Patrick Mahomes, obviously coming off of the knee injury that he suffered late in the season, we'll see if he's out there for week 1. Right now, it's definitely a possibility. Nothing confirmed yet, but on the season last year, he definitely had their downturn of a year. He's kind of had that the past couple of years statistically, but we all know he is still great. 14 games, 68.5 QBR, 3,587 yards, ranked 12th, 22 passing touchdowns, ranked 11th, and 11 interceptions as well. 62.7% completion was quite low by his standards. 7.14 yards per attempt was low for the Chiefs' offense as a whole. 256 yards per game did rank 5th. He still had 400 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns. 6'2", 225, age 30, entering at year 10. So, again, we'll see how he starts coming off of his ACL and knee injury as a whole. But overall, I still think he is going to be quite good. And we've seen him throw for 5,000 yards before. I don't think that's going to happen again. Do I think he can get back into the low 4,000s? I certainly think it is a possibility if he starts off the year healthy. And this only gives him extra motivation heading into this Rams-Chiefs game in SoFi, because you know McDuffie and Watson are going to be hyped up heading into that game. And this fires me up too as a Rams fan, just because to already see a new addition at cornerback early on in training camp, hyping up your quarterback like that when there's actual merit behind it, unlike the Tyreek Hill statement in my opinion, then yeah, I'm hyped for this season. This defense is going to be ready. Byron Young even said today they could be the best to ever do it, which that's a high bar. He's going to go up with the 85 Bears for that one. See, I know a little bit of old football, a little bit, not as much, but I will give the 85 Bears the nod over the Rams for right now for this season. Again, the Rams, it's not out of the question that they beat it, but I'm certainly not counting on that happening this year. So this defense has a lot of high expectations, but with this, I am hyped. It screams confidence from the defense and the offense as a whole. So I am very hyped up for this year, especially now for that game against the Chiefs in November. And obviously, Sean McVay has talked about, throughout this offseason about managing the expectations properly, not getting too ahead of themselves. And I think that's going to be very, very important for this Rams team as this offseason goes on, because again, you don't want to get too confident and then you get off to a slow start, but I don't think that will be the case. You have a lot of veterans on this roster and the young guys are hungry, and I think they're going to manage the expectations just fine heading into this season. And then for Nate Scheelhaase as well, he has a lot of high expectations on him as well because he's the passing game coordinator from last year. Again, you can credit him a little bit with that Matthew Stafford season that he had last year. And he was a rumored head coaching candidate for some destinations, didn't get any jobs. He's now been promoted to the Rams offensive coordinator, a spot where a lot of head coaches have come after they've served as OC, most notably Kevin O'Connell and Mike LaFleur, who has now moved on to the Arizona Cardinals head coaching job. O'Connell obviously there in Minnesota, so it's going to be very intriguing what he does with this offense, especially that Week 13 game. I am telling you, mark your calendars for that one, because that is going to be one. Rams-Chiefs, you'll see, they're going to be pulling out some things on offense. I don't think they will most other games because of what Jaylen Watson said and to get this fan base hyped up. And then obviously defensively for Chris Shula, again, I've said it's a make or break year for Chris Shula because of all the talent the Rams have brought in. That he really ended the season poorly last year. I thought there was a shot he was going to get fired. At Week 8, Week 9, he was probably going to be a head coach somewhere, but the second half did not go the way the Rams or the Rams fans wanted / planned it to go. And I think with all this talent, his expectations are going to be even higher because the offense, McVay is going to have a say in that. I think it'll be just fine. But defensively, there's a lot riding on Shula's shoulders. And again, that Week 13 game, I can't wait to see what they're going to pull out. Because again, they're going to keep it simple most of the year, I think. Coverage scheme-wise and schematics and lineups. They're going to run different plays, coordinations, obviously, and all that. But Week 13, just you'll see. You'll see. I think it's definitely going to be different, especially after these words. And now, as always, I want to hear from you all in the comments. I will be responding as always. What does this mean for the offense this season? Leave your thoughts in the comments. To me, they're just going to dominate again. They're going to be one of the best offenses in the league again if they stay healthy. Knock on wood for that. So I don't foresee anything really changing too much besides they lean on the run a bit more, but that's not because of this tweet whatsoever. And do you like Jaylen Watson stirring the pot this preseason? Comment down below why for yes and for no. Yes, I love it, mainly because the statement has merit. Again, I'm going to keep comparing it to Tyreek Hill, where the Tua statement over Mahomes didn't make sense whatsoever at the time or ever, but this statement has some merit that Mahomes throws a better pure football on schedule than Patrick Mahomes. Again, off schedule, we're taking Mahomes every day of the week. But on schedule, I do think you can make an argument that Matthew Stafford throws a slightly better ball than Mahomes. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. I will be responding as always. And that is all for today's episode of Rams Digest. Remember, leave a like on today's video right now if you want the Rams to go on a Super Bowl run in 2026 and for Aaron Donald to come back to the Rams this season. Hit that subscribe button. We're just over, one over 200 away from our goal of 6K, 6,000 subscribers. So help us get there. Click that subscribe button right now. Click the notification bell as well. Click all so you get notified and never miss whenever we post our daily new Rams Digest video content pieces covering all things Rams. Got some big things coming up this season, so make sure to stay tuned. And leave your thoughts down below in the comments. I will be responding as always on today's video. And send this video to a friend because it helps out the channel a lot. I've been your host, Joshua Finehirsh, as always. Thank you very much for watching another episode of Rams Digest. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you soon for another one, and have a great rest of your day.